is banking as a platform or banking as a service, essentially catering the last mile, essentially the 2 billion, bottom 2 billion people globally who are being served and being catered by the small and mid-sized banking institutions, not really the big-size ones. Potentially most of the people in this conference work with today. So we all potentially work with Citibank and HSBCs and Stan Chartered and stuff. But the bottom 2 billion people globally, and as you see here on the map, they are all distributed across Asia, Africa, South America, and so on. They are all served and catered by the small and mid-sized institutions, typically known as Tier 3, Tier 4 banking license holders, microfinance companies, NBFCs, NBFIs, and so on. So these are the companies, or these are the financial institutions who are looking for a viable solution at the right cost points, at the right technology stance, which I would like to say was available in some form and some factor, but thanks to a lot of technology changes over the past decade and so, thanks to penetration of data, penetration of smartphones, and to the cloud, where we are today, that building and offering to these smaller institutions banking as a service or banking as a platform has come to reality now. Let's look at it how. So the key issue that these thousands of institutions who cater to bottom 2 billion people, why they haven't been able to digitize the services so far, they all have been trying to copy and replicate the digitization of the banking stack as the bigger banks have been doing. So by a core banking solution, by an ESB, by mobile application, agency banking platform, merchant application, POS devices, and the list can go on, right? So if you have to typically look at one of the big banks like ANZ, like Citibank, like HSBC, they work with anything between 100 to 150 technology providers to make things happen the way we know banking. So me and you can get onto my PC, my mobile phone, we have a plastic card, we have NFC devices. They are all solutions which are coming from different technology vendors like us. And the bank has their own team, technology teams of few hundred to few thousand people who can run, integrate this multi-vendor ecosystem. This is not essentially what these smaller banks, who serve tens, twenties of thousands of people or maybe 100,000 people in a country like India. I mean, this is still a small number. A couple of banks that we work in India, for example, in India, they have 2.5, 3, 4 million bank accounts. And similar banks in Africa potentially are the largest banks of the country, given the population of those countries itself is 10, 15, 20 million overall. So that's the problem number one, and which is detailed here in terms of a multi-vendor ecosystem. And if you have to look at it a little closely, you would see here the core banking, the access channels, the payment system, the enterprise bus systems, the merchant ecosystem, the merchant platforms, they're all coming from different technology vendors. Let's go back again, where the second biggest reason for these guys, the smaller financial institutions, has been availability of resources. And when I say resources, it's people who are skilled people who can run this so-called multi-vendor ecosystem, or even if it was two vendors providing the complete banking solution, they still need people to work at the last mile. And at these last miles, so let's say look at countries like Argentina, Peru, Brazil, on the east side if you head on to Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique. I mean, these are the countries that we work very closely in. We have deployed our solutions today. Finding the right skill set to be able to run these technologies is a big challenge with these guys. Second, finding a reliable infrastructure, reliable connectivity is another big challenge, wherein you wouldn't be surprised to figure out a situation that you can't transact with your bank online for next 2 days. Why? Because the servers went down. I mean, not really India, but yeah, I mean, some of the emerging countries, we still have these challenges. It's just not the bank. It's a lot of enterprise solutions which essentially go down, and for hours, for days together, you might not have access to the basic services. How did we go after solving this? So this is essentially our solution in nutshell. All these smaller institutions, and again to repeat, I mean, they are anywhere between 20-30,000 financial institutions globally who are serving these bottom 2 billion people. Their transaction sets are very minimal. They don't really need 50, 100 or 200 different technology vendors to work with. All these smaller institutions typically have a current account, a savings account, a loan account, and that's about it. Maybe a daily deposit, fixed deposit is another service. They don't really have mutual funds, they don't have wealth management, they don't have other plethora of things which the bigger banking institutions offer, right? So these are very, very basic banking ecosystems. What do they deploy today? They deploy a full stack banking ecosystem. They don't really have a trimmed down version, or if they do, they are essentially provided by some tier 2, tier 3 technology guy done very locally, just works for that particular bank, solves one particular transaction set, and that's about it. When it comes to integrating this into the national switches, into the MasterCard, Visa card kind of services, because that's essentially what you want to deliver at the last mile, right? I mean, the banking services has to be ubiquitous. As it is for all of us, it should be the same service. At the last mile, people aspire for the same, and people have the monies which they can spend over those transactions, just that they do not have the right technologies there. So what did we do? We built the whole system on the cloud. It's with a capability, with a hybrid infrastructure deployment capability. All these modules that you see here, there is a light banking platform, just in case the smaller institutions would want to move on to a more robust system, which is cloud hosted, which is not to be sitting into their local data centers, because the data centers are not really up to the scale. These can be hosted onto an Oracle cloud present within the country, and that is exactly what we have done in few deployments of ours. So this whole bank, because within the banking space, within the financial institution space, having the local data residency is also a key. And that's exactly what we have done. So light banking ecosystem takes care of that. Now you start layering this banking platform with the key transactions that those people at the last mile need to do. So what are those transactions? Those transactions are daily household utilities, bill payments, school fees, and stuff like that. Most of things which me and you can do online today is essentially what these guys can and should be able to do online. Literacy could be a challenge to begin with, but yes, I mean, that is taken care by a different channel, which is an assisted retail channel through the agent network. So as you see right here on the top left, through the open APIs, we expose all these APIs into the agent network. This agent network could be a mom and pop store retail, a Macy's chain, a gas station chain. So these chains now can essentially become the branches for the bank. And this is something which is happening globally today, right? I mean, in different form and different factor in Western world as a challenger bank, or whatever name you would want to give it, or into the developing markets through the agent network with the foot soldiers on the ground, wherein people go door to door and help people do these transactions, which is banking and the basic utility, basic household needs on a daily basis. After this, the only other transaction set which is left is the offline payments or the offline transactions at a grocery shop, at a meat shop, at a bakery and stuff like that. Yes, I mean, we are all used to plastic in our pocket, but we have evolved from plastic to NFCs, to the QR code payments and flash and go. I guess this is where the jump is happening for the bottom 2 billion people today, wherein this generation would not really see plastic ever in their pockets. So I already see in India, the last mile, in Africa, few countries where we have deployed our solutions, we have moved the bank straight away from a core banking branch-based network straight into a QR code, digital mobile-based payment system. And I mean, this is not something that we were the first ones to do. M-Pesa, Paytms, mobile money ecosystems all over the world has done it over the past 2 decades now. We are just enabling these banks at the last mile who were not doing this and letting the mobile wallets do all the heavy lifting on the ground. Now the banks themselves can do the same. So here on the cloud, all the modules, be it BI analytics, reporting dashboards, USSD banking, frictionless payments as the merchant payments, internet banking, corporate banking. I mean, this is the basic subset that the banks, the smaller mid-sized financial institutions need at the last mile. But having said that, this is essentially how a sandbox for a ANZ, for a Citibank, or for a RBL bank in India also looks like. So within the sandbox, you have all these APIs put together, build workflows around it, and expose these workflows to a microfinance company, to a healthcare company, to a grants institution wherein you are disbursing grants, collecting premiums and stuff like that. All that could be built around this, but this is the core engine. As I said, this whole platform comes with a omni-channel interface, which is web interface, mobile app interface, USSD interface. So basically you are covering all 9 yards that now the user as an end consumer, as you see right up there, for customers, for banking agents, for back office users and the management, they all need an access and a touch point into a system like this. Today the way it works is a company A or a technology vendor A brings an interface for the consumers. Technology company B brings the interface for the back office and so on. What we are saying is need not be, because it's the whole data at the back end is sitting at one single pool. You just need a different channel, and this omni-channel interface basically covers all the 9 yards. You have cases wherein you have, even today, while the penetration of GSM is 95% and above globally, we still have places, and I have been to those places myself, be it northeast of India or Zimbabwe and Mozambique border. You have GSM availability, but you do not really have GPRS or 3G still. So how do you solve those problems? Those get solved with the USSDs, and this is what the mobile wallets have been doing. Why can't a bank do it? You just need to enable those guys with the right technology. So we have done this. So all these interfaces, channels are available. Different avatars that you see here are from the real deployments that has been done. And this is some little peep into the various deployments that we have done, from Zimbabwe to Mozambique to Zambia, few India. Within no time, I mean, this is what, third year of our existence, and in the last 18 months, we have started lifting close to 2.5 million transactions of these smaller institutions per month. So roughly 2.5 million transactions per month today sit on Oracle Cloud. And this is what these guys essentially wanted, right? I mean, their uptimes now have been 5 nines, which is unheard and unseen of these institutions. So this is the difference that we have been able to make sitting on a robust, scalable cloud. We didn't really have to worry about the infrastructure of these institutions. So now basically we walk in as an institution backed by a very strong cloud enabled ecosystem, and a lot of other applications and services which are already available on this ecosystem is not something that we have to keep building. So we know that our strength points are around building the whole banking platform that we have already built, and it works well. Now anything beyond this, be around the big data, the BI analytics capabilities, the chatbot capabilities, we are plugging into the available APIs on the Oracle Cloud, and it works seamlessly for us. So this is what Teknospire is all about. Any questions, please do let me know. Thank you so much.